Hi everyone, it's David France here from Portfolio Millionaire and Legacy Wealth Builder. Tonight I've got joined with me Mike Bell, who works on the strategic support side and helps a lot of our partners. And we've also joined tonight by Matt Knowles, who's also one of the partners on board with Portfolio Millionaire. How are you doing, guys? Can you hear me?
Can you hear you? No problem.
Loud and clear. I think you might have undersold Matt a bit as there, David. He's the rising star. Start with that. Rising star.
Love it, love it.
He is, absolutely. Yeah, good stuff. So we're going to have a chat about deals tonight, guys, by the sound of it. And Matt's got a few deals to share with us. And so let me tell you guys just a bit about Matt to start with. So Matt came on board with us a while ago now. How long ago is it, Matt? I can't quite remember exactly.
Like 10 months, I reckon, something like that.
Yeah, so you've been on with us a while, and you're certainly into the swing of this business, and you're loving it, and you've got some good stuff to talk about. So perhaps start off a little bit at the start. Just give us a bit of I know you and I met in Preston, which is your patch, and we met in the Tickle Trout. Do you want to perhaps start a little bit there and how you found out about us and etc.?
Yeah, no problem. So I found actually about you off YouTube. I watched a few of your videos and stuff, and I just like the way you sort of come across on a bit of like a normality scale, not like a massive upsell on this is the life to live sort of thing. You know, it was, you know, you can do it this way, but there's hard work involved, like with everything. And I really I liked that. I like the normality and just, yeah, when I spoke to you over the phone, obviously when you're interested, you'll ring and you get like I think it's like a half an hour to an hour phone call with you just to ask questions and stuff. And I remember I did I'm pretty sure like an hour before just writing down loads of questions for you to just answer.
I remember you pulled out that diary or notepad and all the questions you had listed about what's coming next. But yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's it. And you answered all the questions and stuff, and I was like, right, okay, you know, we'll go for the meeting, and I just want to make sure that everything's, you know, good, because obviously it was a massive gamble for me. Like I had a cafe and I was delivering parcels as well, but property was always the goal for me to get into. And then we met at the Tickle Trout and had like a good coffee and a good chat about everything. And yeah, I mean, I stuck it to you hard. I had a lot of questions I asked, and I'm fair to say, no, I was well impressed with everything and how it come about. And then I took the gamble, as you say, and come on the course, which I must admit I was very nervous of at first, because obviously you hear rumours, you know what I mean? You can go on YouTube and stuff and hear of everyone, you know, trying to sell a course and stuff like that. And, you know, you read reviews of people being like, oh, it's a scam and stuff like that. And I was like, God, I don't want to be one of them people. And I actually messaged someone who did the course. I think it was Jordan at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I spoke to him over Facebook and stuff, and he was like, yeah, mate, it's a good course, David's proper sound and stuff. And I was like, right, okay, we'll do it. We'll take the gamble. And yeah, so I come on board, and yeah, I've not looked back. It's been probably the best thing I've done, to be fair.
So I think one of the key things that you mentioned was about the lifestyle. Like David, me and you, we keep quite a low profile on things, and that's more than likely because we're out here doing the real work, compared to when you see all this flashy go-to stuff. It would be quite easy to go down that model and show that kind of stuff, but it's all about the real work, and that you'll realize that throughout the way, Matt. You know what I mean? And I think for anybody that's going to be watching this, like, just keep your ears and eyes open to what's attracting you. If it's the glitz and the glam, then more than likely they're spending too much time on showcasing that sort of stuff rather than putting in the real work to get the outcome that you've realistically got.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people want to see either, you know, like a brand new Range Rover or a big fancy sports car and nice watches, and just like living, you know, like what is it, like constantly working, like whether they're abroad and they're working, and although like we can do this stuff now, and you know, which is great, but people just, I think, want to see that and just believe that that's the life they will achieve. And you know, you can achieve it, but people run off that too much and don't realise, as you say, Mike, what goes down, what happens in the trenches and what you do. And
all these sleeves up, yeah.
Well, one thing that's interesting me and Mike just really like about yourself, Matt, is you've just followed the process to a T, and you've got the results, you've got, you know, all the deals you're working on, which you're going to be touching on shortly. It's just really good. And when you got your first deal, it always gives us a bit of a rush as well as yourself, because obviously you got the fees. And I can't remember how much did you net on your first deal. Was it the lease option? Was that your first deal? Was it? Or
yeah, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it's like, was it 2,500? Because that was a deal we'll touch on, because it was a tricky one. I'm pretty sure it was, to date, I think it was the hardest deal I've ever done, with things popping up and issues coming up with it. And you know, I was new to the game, obviously, and I didn't know. And I was like, I was so buzzing just to get my first deal over the line and think, yes, now this is decent, we're rolling with it. And issues come up, and I was like, no, like, what's this? And I, you know, hand on heart, I can say, if it wasn't, you know, without you being there for us and advising what to do, that deal would have fallen through, you know, 100%. And that was, you know, that's part of where your money goes to. It's the experience. You can't really, you know, there's not enough money in the world to pay for what the advice someone gives you in certain situations. And, you know, regarding deals and properties that I've took on, and the advice you give and certain ways to do things is, you know, it's worth it.
So Matt, that's quite important actually, because I know, especially from your background, coming from being a business owner already, you obviously saw the value in terms of when you were hit with that massive hurdle, to think, right, okay, now the expenditure or the original investment outlay that I put to test, like, you obviously satisfied that you overcome that hurdle. And I think going back to how you've went from a more traditional model or traditional type of business versus doing something like this in the creative space, personally, I think your journeys went did a 180 from how, just even the way how you speak versus, I remember the way how you spoke, and some of the concepts of what you thought a traditional model, taking that traditional model into doing something in this creative space would look like. So I remember when obviously you're out there finding your own deals, doing your own thing, which is brilliant. And I remember you saying to me that time, and I'll never forget that conversation. It's quite funny actually, where we were talking about how you would position yourself. And I remember you saying, like, I want to be seen like this. And I remember you said, I've done these videos, I've put on a shiny suit. You know, do you remember doing it? About that?
Yeah, I remember it now. So like, I was like, oh, I'll do a YouTube video and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'll get in a suit and look the part and stuff like that. And I did it, and I watched it back, and I was like, that is shit. You know, that's not me. It's not who I am. Like, I don't go to work in a desk like you see me in a jumper today, and that's what I work in. You know, I work in jumper and shorts and slippers most of the time. You know, that is what it is, sort of thing. And I went down the route of. It was, to be fair, it's quite a good point, because like, I think if you didn't catch me on that, Mike, I'd have probably gone down it. And it's that path of sort of like faking it, really, like presenting yourself as someone who you're not, in a big shiny suit and stuff like that. And I think if it was without, you know, yourself, who pulled me on it and was like, nah, don't do that, you know, be who you are, or people will buy into who you are and not what you're trying to be. And I look back now, and I've obviously got like videos, I mean, normal stuff, and it's so much better. Like, that's, you know, that's going back to it. That's why I picked David, because he was normal and he come across normal. He wasn't, you know, when I met him, he was, you know, he wasn't in like a massive flashy suit or anything like that. It was just a normality. That's what people like and stuff, really. People
can relate to that a bit better, can't they? I think when you're, I mean, anyone can, you know, I mean, all these people who roll around in the Lamborghinis and all that stuff, that use it to push these type of courses. It's, I mean, you know, half of them are rented anyway, and it's kind of the wrong kind of image. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all like the nice stuff, the toys. We've all got nice toys and cars and houses and all that kind of stuff. But it's, I think the image we're giving off is we're just real people, down to earth. And then this is what sellers pick up on as well. So when you operate in the process, it's pointless coming across as some Mr. Big Shot, because people can't relate to that. People can relate to you, and you know, you've been in their position, and these sellers just want you to level with them, really, and this is why this works so well.
Yeah, because definitely, Mark. Obviously, the truth will set you free, and people will be emotional because 9 times out of 10, if it smells of bullshit, and it normally is.
Yeah, it is.
With the people, with you following David's process and stuff, that's why you've had that trajectory within the success of what you're doing, because you can't fake the truth. You can't fake the effort, the work ethic, the actual grind that has been put in place. Because trust me, if I was a seller on the other side of the phone or on the other side of a conversation or an offer that you've put on, and they can hear in the tone of your voice that you're literally putting your all into your business, like I'm backing that person 100% versus that shiny guy that has no substance. Because people are evolving, society's evolving, and maybe that sort of stuff would have worked 5-6 years ago, but nowadays people just want to see, they just want to get to the point. And there's going to be so many people. Obviously, I know David will post this in his group, I'll post it in mine, and there's obviously the list that's on there. There's so many people that are probably in this space right now that are doing it not necessarily with David, just on their own, or have tried to do it on their own, and will take away some of your points and think, actually, I'm going to try this, or try really find like the nitty gritty stuff within what you're saying. But there's going to be so many people that we just want this whole conversation to try and enlighten you to go, right, let me take what Matt's saying and put that into my own practice, because that's going to benefit the people that are all obviously listening to this as well.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, I can first vouch for that. You know, I definitely would have been one of them in the shoot, trying to portray an image that isn't true, like on videos, and do the classic of a profile picture with me on my telephone when no one's actually on the other end of the line. That's a classic one that you see. Yeah, that classic one. Act like no one's taking the picture. I've seen it all. You see it, don't you? But yeah, I was happy that you stopped us and you had a word and you was like, "Nah, don't go down that path," sort of thing. Just do it normal and you'll be good.
Yeah, good. So deals wise, so you did your first lease option. How soon was your first deal after starting with us? Just remind us of that.
So, I mean, obviously, how it's structured is you go on and you get like a time frame to do your first ones in, and then you go on to the next stage, which is good for me because I was very keen to go. Like briefly, actually, just take it back a little bit. I had like a pre-website done, and I'd learned a lot on YouTube and stuff, but I was just sort of froze. I didn't really make any ground. I just found myself in the same situation like 2 months down the line and didn't really go anywhere with it. So then I come on board, and it was good that it was set out, you structured it that way, because I'd have just jumped to the main bit and be like, yeah, we'll go all in now and we'll just randomly try and ring people and see what we can do. And so I think the first deal was about the fourth week, maybe. Very, very soon as we just went onto that module of like calling sellers and stuff.
It was module 5 and then shortly after that, I think you got your first deal, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it come from, like I said, just following the process. I think it was, we were just going online, and I think it was a property there, and it was a good first deal. I remember the moment now, and I was just so happy that we got the first one there, and yeah.
I'll tell you what's interesting. So you were following a lot of the marketing methods we discussed, and obviously they're not, these black hat secret stuff. It's all about, a lot of people in our industry actually do a lot of the similar kind of marketing strategies, don't they? But we've all got our own sort of secret sauce and little process we do, and we're no different. We've got a very detailed process, as you know, and with all the templates as if we give you access to. So it's interesting to hear you say this, and obviously you found a lot of your deals in the places where your classifieds, Rightmove direct mail. I think you've done quite a few of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Then, correct me if I'm wrong, you then scaled up because you'd done quite a few deals. Then you scaled up to pay per click. Was that right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so on both of them, I think the first deal I did was classifieds, and then a few deals down the line that was a lease option again in that way. Western, that was Rightmove, that was direct mail, and then the third one I'll talk about it did come from pay-per-click. Yeah, so
What
good
was
lads.
that? There was one you did, Hustler Street. Was it 4 flats or 3 flats? Was it 3 or 4 flats in Bradford?
Yeah, 4 flats. That was my first one I did. 4 flats, Bradford.
Yeah, that was I remember that. And then I remember the Western one, because you were going to put a tenant buyer in that one, weren't you?
Yeah, I was going to put a tenant buyer in the property and do it that way. And that was, to be fair, that's a good deal to speak of, actually, because that was, yet again, that was a motivated seller. She wasn't in negative equity, but very close on the line. Been on the market for about a year, I think. Just like a nice house, but just didn't really get any movement on it on the sale. And she was very keen for a lease option, but the figures just didn't stack for it. There wasn't just enough cash flow there. And that's, yet again, when I spoke to you and I said, I've got a deal here, but everything ticks the boxes of doing a lease, but the prices aren't there for it. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, all right, tenant buyer. And I was like, God, yeah, what that's decent. And then you said it to me, and I remember I was so excited. And yeah, I actually got a mate in of mine who would be the tenant buyer in it, sort of thing. So that worked out. That was good.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's all solution focused. There's always a solution. Wherever a problem occurs, anywhere in life in general, there's always usually a solution. And this is no different. Solution focused business. And you can't always make every deal work, but a lot of them you can. And this is where mine and Mike's skill sets really come in, with all our combined experience over the years in property. Mike will tell you some of the deals he's done, the deals I've done. No one deal's ever the same. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really about the person behind it, and it's really more about you. And you'll have probably learned a lot about yourself within the last 10 months or so, and what you can do and how you can kind of build a narrative around, like David said, finding that solution. There's not a one step by step. It's just about being able to play that equity game with yourself and with the seller or with the buyer, and like pretty much do the dance to get to the result. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the most important part of how I would kind of visualize it or illustrate it if I was somebody that's brand new to this watching, or somebody that's already doing it with somebody else that's maybe watching it and took an interest on how you're getting your success. So I think for the realities of the situation is, what would you give as kind of your main kind of takeaways of why have you got some of the stuff that you've got, or why have you got to doing that volume of deals? What would you say that would separate you from the average?
Yeah, to be fair, I don't class myself as any different than anyone else, but I think just following the process step by step, following it all the way through, don't miss anything out. I'm from up north, I'm tight anyway, and I was like, I paid for it, I want to learn everything on this course possible. And to be fair, that's probably what led me to just following everything, like little bits. Just don't miss anything out, just follow the process and you'll get the rewards. And I remember when I come on and I briefly spoke to Dave and you're like, yeah, you've got multiple deals. And I remember being on the other end of the phone going, I can't wait for that. Like, it must be wicked. And I remember like I had a catch up with Dave, I think a week or two ago, and I was like, yeah, I got this one. And it's hard to have a conversation because we get sidetracked because you just like, got this deal, got that deal. And
so exciting. I love the calls, the sessions we have with the partners, and Mike's the same. The deals, just, we could talk all day about them. I mean, they lead off into different, you've got one deal here. I need to talk about this one. I forgot about this one. And I know at the start of this conversation tonight, before we press record, you were talking about a portfolio that you're potentially working on. Of how many properties were in that portfolio, roughly?
19.
So yeah, that'd be nice. So you're potentially working on big deals now. A lot of people get afraid of the big stuff, but I'm sure you'll kind of agree, a big portfolio is the same as just one deal, but just a bit more due diligence and things like that.
Yeah, it's more juicier as well than the one, but it's just, that's it. Yeah, I think that's what I mean. Like, I think if I was on my own and I even come across that, I don't think I'd know what to do with it. 2, I think I'd look at it and go, shit, what am I going to do with 19 properties? Like, what do you do here? Yeah. And I think that's just the key element of having just that, you two just to speak to and go like, I remember I've texted you about 7:45 at night and been like, Dave, I've got a bit of an issue. Like, what do I do with this? And you message back saying, yeah, I put my little lad to bed. Like, I've got 5 minutes. What's up? And you give me a call, and I think the phone call has lasted longer than 5 minutes. But that support there that's everything. You know what I mean? That is why I'm here today. To be fair.
Well, I appreciate your feedback on that, and I think it's that's what you're paying for. We like to deliver. We're here. If you pay for something, we expect you to get and we deliver on what what we say we're going to give you. So I think it's important you get that.
I think as well, David, holding that to account along the way was quite an important thing.
Yeah, I reckon it was.
You probably remember me saying from this conversation, right, at the very start of setting up your business, yeah, you've got to think, how do you want people to perceive you? Do you want to be this or that, right? And you chose a direction. So we literally always went back. You pull them away, follow that. You pull them away, follow that. And it's about, I think, making sure that we held you to account was definitely one of the main things that kind of made you laser focus. And I would like to think that your behavior patterns have changed from doing so, because now like there's confidence coming through, and I'm excited to see kind of where you're gonna go. And in 12 months' time, you're going to be telling me you're doing this, and I'm like, chill out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think to be fair, a good thing to talk about briefly is when you're doing the game and stuff like that, and you're dealing in properties, like although it's a people's game, it can be quite a lonely game as well, because it's just you and your laptop, and you call in and you have deals come through, and your deals falling through and stuff like that. And like anyone can think like, God, what a bad day. And then another bad day, and you think, God, what's happening? And like the weekly follow-up calls, mate, they're a godsend, because like I've been speaking to both of you, and I've had like a bad day or something, and like normally, you get down and stuff, and you speak to both of you, and you're like, no, you want to do this and then do that, and it just brings you like back to life, like re-energizes you to go ahead and push really hard during the end of the week. And I think them calls are everything, to be fair, because like I said, it's motivation's key. Like a lot of people think, I'll do it on my own and I won't pay, but yeah, the money's not even it's not even an issue now when I look at it now, from what I got and the experience I got and the learnings. It's just the support that's there is everything. That's the main thing for me, I thought.
Yeah, it's good to hear you say that. And I think you're right. I think people forget they pay a price one way or the other, because if you don't pay to work with someone who knows what they're doing, you don't have that level of support. When deals are about to fall out, if you're on your own, those deals are going to collapse, and you're going to lose the money anyway, and all the time, the effort. You could be working in the wrong area. And there's so many elements to this business. You can gather it all off YouTube in a bitty fashion, but you need some kind of step-by-step process, and that's what we deliver to people, and to help you get that sort of result, really.
So
yeah.
Matt, probably not to put you on the spot here, but 10 months in, yeah. I know that the viewers that are going to be watching this, they're going to want to know that all the key little pits and points are going to just pass that up above the heads and think, right, what's Matt done? Matt, how many deals have you done? What are you going to be doing in the future? Can you kind of just, not to give too much away if you're not comfortable to do it, but can you kind of summarize to say, I'm well into the X of deals or that amount of deals completed?
Yeah, no problem.
The pipeline, because the pipeline is so important.
Oh, mate, the pipeline's everything. My pipeline's looking wicked already. We're not even nearly into the year yet. Pipeline potential deals. I wouldn't know. I know I've closed 2 this week, which is great news. But they've been coming from just after Christmas sort of thing. Deals I've sold. Put a number on that. Flipping heck. You put me on the spot here. How many do you reckon? I don't know. I reckon I definitely know I've done over 35,000 in it, because that's what's there in the bank. So I think so I can know that. But number of deals.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you buy a new motorbike at Christmas? A KTM? Did you get it?
Yeah. I have done. Yeah, but obviously with the lockdown and stuff, I've not managed to get up and get it. But that's actually a key thing to touch on, because I think before I joined, I sold my car and I sold my motocross bike because I thought,
I remember you saying, yeah,
I wanted to go all in for it. And I remember I bought the bike and stuff like that, and I was so happy because although it's not the classic thing you see on Instagram of a new Range Rover or a new Lamborghini or something, but that meant so much to me because I was like, you know, I've come from there, sold it, and I bought a new one, and it's the bike I want. And yeah, that meant a lot, to be fair. That was a really good moment, I thought.
It's important to have that sort of end goal in mind, really, isn't it? Because people are into this for different things. And as we touched on before about flashy cars and stuff, some people, that's their bag. Some people, it's their watches, cars, houses. And then when you reach a different point in life, like now, me and Mike, we've got kids and stuff, and you haven't got kids yet, Matt, have you?
Not that I know of.
Not that you're on an uptake. So when we reach this stage in our life, I mean, Mike, you might be the same as me, but it's less about the material things. Yes, it's nice to have all that stuff, but for me, it's the legacy side with my kids. I want to leave, and it might sound a bit corny, but this is what I want to leave behind for my kids: a nice, decent-sized portfolio, and obviously, I still want them to work for a living and stuff, but I want them to feel like they have choices, and having a portfolio to pass down generations gives a lot of choices and options.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just great, isn't it? Like, it's just when you're in it, for me, the money sort of becomes a byproduct of what you're doing. Because I love property, I love the game. The game is everything, and I just love it. You know, you constantly go back to it, like you're spinning plates multiple times, and you're just going with it all the way. And that's what I love. Like, the money's good as well, don't get me wrong, but that just becomes a byproduct because you just focus on one deal done, right, move on, next one. And then, like that portfolio you're saying, you know, if that comes off, you get that done and you just go on again, don't you? And that's what I love. I love the life I live now and just doing something which I love. You know, a year away from now, I think I was delivering parcels, and I'm pretty sure when I come from a meeting, I think I had like 78 drops after I come for the meeting at Tickle Trout, didn't I?
Multi-drop, didn't you? Was it the multi-drop parcels?
Yeah. So yeah, it was just Hermes. I had contract runs with them. Yeah, I liked it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And you know, looking back now, like I answer the door to them and it's raining, and I'm just like, oh, is it raining out there? Which is like a constant joke that I used to get when it was hammering it down and I get asked it. And it's so nice to be on the other thought doing something that I love doing.
Well, this is it. I think everyone's got their own things you want to do, but the good things about the business, which you've probably picked up on, is the lifestyle. You can live the lifestyle that you pretty much want, and if you want to take a bit of time off with the kids, or you want to take a time off to go and ride your motorbike, or whatever we all want to do, you can actually do, because it's and in this day and age, in the lockdown periods with the pandemic, you can operate this business from anywhere, and that's why I created the training to follow what I've done, because the last thing we want is you to be tied to an office. Although I'm in an office and we're all in our offices and whatnot, it's not about that, about being restricted. It's about being able to live how you want to live. And you've got to have some kind of goal in mind. As you say, it might have been your motorbike or some kind of end goal to work to get out of bed in the morning and drive you to do these deals. And everybody's got their own vision of that. And if you've got some vision of that, this will help you through the turbulent times. Because you touched on before about deals falling through and stuff. I mean, Mike will tell you this on the other side of business, the deal packaging business that me and Mike operate as well. We had a few fall throughs at Christmas, so they looked like they'd fallen through. But because of our mindset and the way we just pick yourself up and don't let the grass grow under you, it's easy to bury your head in sand and just say, oh, this is, end of the world. And there was a lot of money, wasn't there, Mike, in the pipeline that had potentially fallen through. But shortly after, a few weeks later, we've managed to get them all placed with buyers again, all back on track. And it's that up and down, the roller coaster, but you've got to be prepared for it. And we try and manage people's expectations. And you've done an excellent job of managing your expectations throughout this whole process. So the future's bright for you, and you just got to keep staying hungry at doing the deals. It's easy to become complacent when you do a few of these deals, isn't it, each month?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think you've got to, like you say, you've got to have a goal in mind. You've got to be motivated. I mean, anyone can come and do a course, any course, If you're not motivated yourself and you don't have that drive to do well and succeed, then no matter what information people are going to give you, you've got to act on what you're given. and you got to have your own a bit of initiative to get up and go and push forward sort of thing. And with that help, if you've got the drive, you've got the the information and the support from like you guys, anyone can do it sort of thing.
So I would say as well then, Matt, so quite rightly what you said with the drive and like getting your hands dirty, rolling the sleeves up, as I always say. Yeah. What would be your like tips for the people again that are going to be watching this? Because I'm quite mindful that yes, great, you've had your success, but yes, right now it's all about you, but there's going to be people that are going to be watching it and just think, right, what about me? What can I do, Matt? Tell me something. Matt, help me roll my sleeves up. What's in it? What do I do to roll my sleeves up? What's the things that you would say kind of your like non-negotiable habits that you do to really sink your teeth into the business?
Yeah, no problem. For me, mainly like an advice is think of where you want to be, in a year or 2 years, and what's your goal, what's your motivation behind the driving factor of where you want to be. Is that the money? Is that the scalable business? What is that factor? And once you find that factor, think of it every day. Think of it before you go to bed. Think of it in the morning, and just use that to drive you forward. And just start. What I mean? Like I speak to people, and they're just like, I don't know where I begin, and I'm like, mate, just make a step. You know what I mean? Because then you're further than you were yesterday. And once you make the steps, things just seem to roll. Like before you know it, like I remember saying to, I think it was you, Matt, to be fair, like when you mentioned that quote of, was it steering your own ship or what was that? And, and just make moves, think who you go, what's motivating you, go forward, make your steps, and just do every day something that's going to get you closer to where you want to be.
Good advice.
I think that's going to touch a lot of people hearing that, because you'll know, like David, obviously we've talked about some of the shiny stuff and the good stuff here, and we've also touched upon some of the pain points and the bad bits, like fallout, dealing with it. But like you said there, Matt, like at the end of the day, we all control our own destiny. So it's really about finding yourself as a person and just doing it, because nobody else is going to do it for you. While they're then watching this and not doing a deal, Matt's out here lining up all these opportunities, and there's so much to go around, especially with the current climate and stuff. There's so much opportunity that's there right now. So, you want to finish off then, David? Or
I was just going to say, from our last conversation, mate, I know you touched on your pipeline before. You were saying about your 35k in fees. I think one thing as well that people would be interested to hear is when you get involved with this and you did your first deal, you got your fees in, you're excited. It also, all of a sudden, when you've got the cash in the bank, it takes you down other avenues. So you've also got deals. I think you've got your own property that you're gonna be living in, and also refinance deals. So you've got many deals in the pipeline and cash coming in the future from flips, which are chunks of cash and all stuff like that. So you've gone down different avenues in property, not just the deal trading. Obviously, that's part of it, but you can go down different routes as well. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think when I started and you got your first deal and you sell your second, your third, and your cash builds up, and it builds up quite quickly as well at the same time. And I didn't, I didn't go out and buy something. I think I had a Chinese for my tea after my first deal as like a treat. I don't live a luxurious lifestyle. I'm not really into the fancy stuff, and I just let the money build up, and then the doors just open for different avenues you can go down. And you're like, you'd see a house maybe before you even started property, and you think that would make a good flip, but you don't have the money to back you, or you don't have the knowledge to do it. And then, like I said, I was earning money doing the deals and built money up, and like bought a property, did a flip on it, bought one, sold at auction, and like I said, bought my own house with me and my missus now, and we're living in that, and that's been a flip as well. And many doors just open, and you see a lot more opportunities instead of being fairly blinkered and focusing on one thing. Like your eyes just become like open a lot wider, and you just see things in a different perspective from what you didn't see before, really.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, a lot of people start off with the deal trading because it's low risk. You don't have to buy the properties. You're just signing that bit of paper, obviously negotiating it. and then selling that interest. But after a while, you realize that that's not going to make you super wealthy. Buying the assets that you're getting at significant discounts and whatnot, you can actually, do your flips, make your big chunks of cash, but you can also do the trading on the side as well, and just a real mixed strategy. And I think that's what people like. But I think to start with, the lower risk stuff, people prefer to dip the toe in it, and then they go a bit more aggressively, like yourself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think you've got to learn along the way, and yeah, I mean, fair play. If you want to take a big jump at the start, then all the best. But I wouldn't recommend it really. I'd just say just start and then just grow with it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and Matt, obviously, year one, still full 12 months, not completed. We've had conversations in terms of there are cute things that you can do to maximise that revenue that you've already had in. Obviously, I wouldn't want to really discuss some of that stuff on the call because that's the intellectual property of David. But there's so many ways to try and maximise how you would have done that. So leading to year 2 and year 3, once you've learned a skill and once you've developed a skill, nobody can take that away from you. I think that's one of the most important things that I would say from this call, because yes, people that do a 9 to 5, like having a job is actually completely okay. I know we talk about freedom and stuff, but doing this and having a job is okay as well. But also doing this full time and having the freedom to do what you want when you want is also fine as well. But it's really going back to my point of maximizing. Once you are in this and you find those little cute things that you can do, you actually can weigh up, right, how do I weigh up my time? Do I keep a track of my time? Okay, the UK average salary hourly rate is X. Then when you actually work out on that and think, right, let me actually put down on pen and paper how many hours I've worked on my business this month. Then you think, God, I've generated X amount of pipeline. And you go, Jesus Christ, like that hourly rate is ridiculous. Like when you actually, do you know what I mean? When you put it can be within the hundreds of pounds per hour.
It's funny you mention that, Mike. Sorry to interrupt, but the around about, I think, work out some of the average deals, and you're talking about £608 an hour is one particular deal. I mean, obviously they're not all the same, but if you're right, you need to manage your KPIs and know how much time you put in and how much revenue you're going to earn. And it can be sort of £600 an hour, and that's certainly up there with the doctors and the consultants and maybe even.
I've got a funny story about that, in fairness. I mean, I sold the deal, and it was one that we spoke about, and it was, we made 17,000 on it, which is great. And I remember coming in and I told my dad about it, and my dad, like a farmer, and he's out there in like all weathers, and I said to him, yeah, I made 17. And he said, what, from sitting on your laptop? And I'm like, well, yeah, it was, to be fair. Like, and he went, oh, yeah, I need something like that or something, and it's been a bit of a laugh, but it reminded me when you said, like, you do a few hours and stuff, and you strike something like that, and you think, bloody hell, like it's class, isn't it? It's awesome, to be fair.
I think that's definitely a point again for the people who are watching this, because so often, if you're doing this business, you're operating a job, it's about finding those times, because you can do it when you are on your 9 to 5 to pay bills, whatever. But then at the end of the day, when you've got a couple of hours in the night, you mentioned before, like you'll get a message off me sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's always time. But then if you work that time properly, then you think, Jesus Christ, I've made 2 months of working in my 9 to 5 by getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working 5 till 7.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 weeks.
100%. I think,
you know what I mean? It's so mind blowing that a lot of people don't think like that and don't have the narrative, because when you spoke about motivation, that would motivate me if I was going back to day one and go back to the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I remember I briefly spoke. I think it was like on a call or something like that. And I remember Mike, you saying like you've had, you can openly say you've had like X amount of hours sleep over 2 days because you've been, putting the hours in and grafting. And I think at the time, like I was working till like 7 on my normal job. I'd do a few hours and then I'd put Netflix on and I'd watch that for a few hours and then go to bed. And I said like, no, I've got my life all wrong. Like I'm putting time in and watching Netflix, but that ain't going to get me to where I want to get to. and then I changed completely. Like, I got up at 5, don't get me wrong, for your first week, it's bloody hard going when that alarm gets off, but you just got to keep driving and keep going. And like you said, when I can get more done, in fairness, from 5 till 7, when, you know, like you guys know, when your emails are not coming off and your phone's not ringing, you can get so much done.
Yeah.
But, you know, before anyone's up, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. You've got to manage your time. I think that's one thing you've got to be really good at, managing your time in this business. And we've all got our own. I mean, the thing is with time, I mean, there was a book I once read, I think it was called Miracle Morning, and they were talking about getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning. And I know you're an early riser, Mike, but I'm definitely not an early riser. And in the end, I realized that I actually work better at night, and obviously we're at night now, and I actually could go right the way through to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning quite easily. And I used to, and when I first started my property business, I was hustling like mad, just right the way through, silly hours. And my wife will tell you, at the time we were just going out, and she said, if you carry on like this, you're just going to kill yourself, you'll burn yourself out. So I was making a classic mistakes, but I realize now, and obviously I teach you guys to do this, is to leverage. And you can't do everything yourself, and you shouldn't. You should just be spending your time on key result areas and income generating areas. So rather than trying to do it all yourself.
I think that's key, to be fair, because you can get sort of like too much focused involved in the day-to-day aspects of it, and not on an overview of actually where you are and what's going on. And you can waste too much time in it. And I remember, I've a lot of phone calls with you both about it, and just saying, you know, right, okay, you need to organize this and structure this, because you need to be focusing on this side of things. And, you know, without you knowing, like, the days can come by and you've not really got any growth coming from it, because you've just been in doing the timely things, and the structure of the business is everything. And that's, yet again, that's, you know, great to have you two there who've been through it all, and know exactly what works, what doesn't work, and what to alter, sort of thing, really.
Just one final point before we go, which I thought was quite relevant on what you said. One thing you said before I picked up on that I want to mention is you were saying about it can be quite a lonely business. And I totally hear you with that. When I first started this, it was just pretty much on my own, and you're starting to gather momentum, get some contacts, speak to a lot of people on the phone, but you don't really see a lot of people day to day when you're in your office, you know, churning out the deals. So it is good when you're part of this network, and Mike holds the deal clinics within the program as well. And we all get together in these group environments, and we're all there to support each other, because we've all been there, and it can get lonely. So it's important to make your time for your motorbikes that you do. And it's motocross. Is it motocross you do?
Motocross, yeah, that's it, yeah.
So nothing like letting off a bit of steam on one of them.
Oh, mate, when this lockdown's over, Craig, that's the first thing I'm going to do, I think. I'm just looking forward to it, just getting back at just enjoying it. Like, it's just a big reward factor for me, that I just to get out there and do something I love. And I can ride during the week now on Wednesdays, because like I'm full-time in this now, and it just gives me the freedom and the flexibility to do stuff that you want to do, which is, it's class. To be fair, it's a bit of like a cliche hearing me say this, because like I'd watch videos and hear people saying this and be like, yeah, well, it's all right for them, you know, classic, like making excuses of why my shit ain't together and I'm not that person there telling the story. And I took the gamble, I took it, I got my stuff together, and we are now. And yeah, it's life's different, mate. It's class. It's really good.
Good. I appreciate it. It was good to have you on board. I'm really pleased you could join us this evening, and I hope the people watching this have got a bit of inspiration. And if they've got some kind of drive and desire to do this, because it's not for everybody, but you've taken to this really well. So was there anything final you wanted to add, Mike, or
no, all good. Excited to see where we end up, Matt, and when we eventually meet.
That's it, when it happens.
You guys haven't actually met yet, it's just virtually, haven't you?
No, it's a good job I know what he looks like. I just bloody walk past him in the street, I won't even know, and he's giving me so much advice.
This is the thing, isn't it? This is the thing with this business. It's all done remotely. So it's great.
That's it. Good.
Thanks for joining us, guys, and really appreciate it. And I'll speak to you all soon, all right?
No worries.
Good stuff. Cheers.